An Oklahoma jury finds a black Tulsa police lieutenant did not cover up the actions of a fellow officer. Marcus Harper was found not guilty today of all charges stemming from his actions after a fellow former officer's vehicle was involved in a gang-related shooting. Why was he on trial? Well, folks in Tulsa say because this is a brother who stands up for black folks. Marcus Harper joins us right now. Marcus, glad to have you on the show. Let's see, do we have Marcus there?
I'm right here, Roland.
Okay, all right, glad to have you on the show. Although I don't know why you wore that tired shirt, but we gonna leave that alone. Yeah, you think I wasn't gonna say nothing? So, one, you got to feel good being acquitted of these charges.
Man, yeah, but I tell you, Roland, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted physically. I'm exhausted mentally. This has been almost 4 years in the making. And I tell you, even though this burden has been lifted off of my shoulders right now, man, it feels like it's still on me, you know?
So what really went on here? And did you have support from police unions and others? It seems like you were fighting this battle on your own.
Well, you know, Roland, it's odd, you know. I had people that supported me. I had fellow officers that were supporting me. You know, the union actually did, you know, the FOP actually did support me. The Tulsa Black Officers Coalition supported me. But in a situation like this, when an administration is used to running roughshod, that's the best way to describe it. And people see what happens, you know, when you stand up and you speak out, because that comes with a price. And nobody wants to be next. Nobody wants to be next.
Now, this is a report from one of the television stations in Tulsa. They said that that LaToya Dyke was fired from the Tulsa Police Department, pled guilty to a separate crime of illegally buying her boyfriend a gun. You've been on leave. You can go to my iPad, Henry. You've been on leave for 4 years. My goodness. That's a very, very long time to be on leave and having your future hanging in the balance.
Yeah, it is. That's a very long time. But, you know, what I tried to do along the way, you know, was trust the process, look at it like everything is necessary, and just kind of took it just one day at a time. You know, taking it one day at a time and staying prayed up and friends praying for me. What ends up happening is that one day turns to 3 days, that 3 days turns to 3 months, 3 months turns to 9 months, and next thing you know, here we are. And I get a chance to tell my story in the courtroom. I actually testified today at 9:30 and was acquitted of all charges by 11:30.
I mean, in looking at this story right here, it says he was charged with helping a fellow officer and friend, LaToya Dyke, of concealing evidence after her car was involved in a shooting. Dyke testifies she loaned her car to a boyfriend's brother, who then got into a shootout near 61st and Peoria, and Dyke's car had bullet holes. Dyke called Harper for help. He showed up in a police uniform, examined the evidence, interviewed those involved in the shooting, then left and never called the police or made a report. And you said point blank, no, I committed no crime. You testified that you didn't know what happened when Dyke called him, and she didn't tell Harper the true story. Harper said he told Dyke to call police immediately and told Dyke's friends to tell the police the truth. Harper said he never looked inside Dyke's car for any evidence, went to work, and then told his boss about it the next day. Then the judge ruled that there was no evidence that you covered up a crime. The fact that, you know, they've been coming after you for 4 years, I mean, to see how quickly this decision came down, you got to ask, how in the hell were you waiting for 4 years on this?
Well, let me back it up for you just a little bit. When this investigation first started, the federal government actually was in charge of the investigation. That started in September of 2020. March of 2021, there was a federal grand jury impaneled, and I was the target of that federal grand jury. And as a result of that grand jury, I wasn't indicted. So I actually thought, hey, I'm going to get a phone call and I'm going to come back to work any day now. Because, you know, in the grand jury, there's only one side of the case that's put on, that's from the prosecution side. So you don't get a chance to go in there and defend yourself if you're a target. But never got the phone call, Then I find out, you know, that my case has been stated to the state attorney general for him to assign a district attorney somewhere in the state. So my case goes to Oklahoma County, which is the largest county in the state. And he kept the case for 3 months and said there was nothing there. Then it goes to Tulsa County, the county that the actual crime took place in, and he recused from the case. Then it goes to Rogers County, and Rogers County came up with these charges.
So wait, hold up.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's in your main county, and they recuse themselves, but it goes to another county. That DA doesn't find anything. You don't get indicted by a federal grand jury.
Right.
Who the hell was shopping for DAs?
You know, somebody at some point is going to have to answer that question. Because that's one of the things that I want to know. It's like, why was it necessary after I was cleared by a federal grand jury that now one of your rural counties can make this case? To my knowledge, something like this has never happened in the history of the police. In my time, in my nearly 3 decades on the police department, I've never seen this happen. To include, let me make myself clear, our federal corruption scandal that took place in 2010, where we had unindicted co-conspirators named in that investigation, but their cases weren't sent to the state attorney general's office. And you can say there was a different administration, you can say this, you can say that, but man, the rules are the same, the laws are the same. I've never at once been asked to be treated differently. Man, just treat me like you treat everybody else, treat me fairly.
Do you want to return to the police force?
How can I? You know, they did this with a smirk on their face. They would come to court hearings, with a literal smirk and smile on their face, thinking that any day I was going to give in, I was going to quit. But man, I gotta. They've taken everything from me, man. Roland, this is attorney fees. Having to work nearly 24/7 just to make ends meet. Man, it's been rough. I don't know how I can go back in such a hostile environment. You were trying to send me to prison. And you did it with a smile on your face, knowing all along you were wrong. So, would it vindicate me to go back to work? Roland, I don't know. I really can't tell you. I have to cross that bridge when I get there,
How long have you been on the force?
Well, since I won my case, I should be technically reinstated right now. So right now it'll be about 13th, it'll be 28 years and 8 months, almost 3 decades.
28 years, 8 months. In this time, you opened a barbecue restaurant.
But no, I got a food truck.
I'm sorry, food truck. Got a barbecue food truck. When I was there, I didn't taste any of it, so I ain't quite.
Yeah, you did. Yes,
oh, that's right. When I came to the house. All right, that's right. That's right. I say when I'm on the most recent trip. So I've been from Texas. We got a Czech folk barbecue.
Oh yeah, always.
So you've been doing that. Your wife was on the city council. And again, both of y'all are very active, strong voices. And let's be clear, is folks in Tulsa don't like the fact that y'all are two vocal black people.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
I think you froze there.
Surprising.
I actually, hold on one second. Start that over again because your video froze. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So, what's amazing is all the support that I got from people that don't look like me. That we don't share the same complexion, but we share the same fight for justice. And the people that had my back and that supported me, that helped me along the way. Man, I have an amazing, I'm gonna call it amazing village. My tribe was a little bit stronger than your tribe. And that's the attitude I have because people helped me along the way. And I will forever be appreciative of that. But one thing I realize is that when you speak out, it comes with a price. It comes with a price for sure.
If you don't go back to the force, what you gonna do?
Man, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live day by day and just enjoy it and just trust the process. I feel like everything that has happened to me has been necessary. And my journey and my pain may be a lesson for somebody else, But, right now, I intend on going back for a while because there's things that are owed to me. And I want those things that are owed to me. But I suspect that I'm gonna have to fight tooth and nail till I get these things back. One thing I want to mention, Roland, is that this verdict came back in 15 minutes.
Wow.
To me, it just wasn't a regular verdict. When the judge read off the charging documents, the judge told the state, you have absolutely produced no evidence to meet your burden of proof in this crime, and he said it wasn't even close. He read the second charging document and said the exact same thing. How did we get to this point?
Yep.
How did we get to this point? I don't know, man. It's just surreal. It's just surreal, and I just don't understand. I just don't see how something like this happened. Now, my co-defendant, in the case, he ended up taking a plea deal, and he did what was best for him. And I can tell you this: he's going to be my brother for life. And I'm not talking about in the police brotherhood, but we were casual friends at first. But Ananias Carson, he's my friend for life. He's my brother for life because he hung with me for as long as he did. And what happens in these situations is, the more and more you delay, the more money it costs you. So imagine not having a real income coming in. Now you have an income, you have lawyer fees and things like that on top of what your regular bills were, and you're trying to make ends meet. And sometimes you just wake up and you're like, man, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm finished. I'm done. And to be honest with you, Roland, in the beginning, when I first got arrested, I was like, hey, I'm just going to retire and walk. But then I just kind of waited. And once I got my discovery and I started reading, I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And man, I tell you, it was, I'm thinking this thing's gonna be done with over any day now. But when I was arrested, Roland, I mentioned about just treat me like everybody else, it is pretty much the common course. If you're being investigated and the police decide, hey, we're going to issue a warrant, there's always a courtesy call to not just other policemen, but to the person who's going to be arrested, at least to their lawyer. The police department knew that I had legal representation. The first phone call I received on November the 2nd was from Internal Affairs, and they wanted me to come downtown. And I was actually working my food truck at the time. And I asked, well, why do I need to come downtown? Well, per your agreement, you have to come. I'm like, okay, hey, I can't be there in 30 minutes. I can be there in an hour. This is at 1:00 on November the 2nd of 2021. So then I get a phone call 10 minutes later that says, hey, I'm not sure you know what's going on, but there's a warrant out for your arrest. So I immediately contacted my wife. I contacted my attorney. Hey, I'm being told there's a warrant out for my arrest. But then I was informed there was a 1:30 press conference on the day I was arrested. In my mind, they were trying to perk walk me, get me downtown at 1:30, have your press conference, lying the press out there, and the chief of police basically said I was I'm the most corrupt cop nearly in the history of TPD. You were going to perp walk me, and you did not even give me a courtesy phone call to me or my attorney to let me prepare myself for a half a day to get my bond in order, to get any personal affairs I need to get in order. You did none of that. You tried to sneak me downtown and then walk me in front of a bunch of cameras. And for 4 years, but for 2.5 years, all you did was put a narrative out there that today was proven to be totally false.
Unbelievable. Well, brother, you are free, but you still got to deal with these legal bills. You still got to deal still with that. And so, is the GoFundMe still active?
Yeah, the GoFundMe is still active. My Cash App is active, and I tell you, if you can't help me out financially, keep praying for me because, hey, man, this is, I had an idea of what was going to happen when I got acquitted, and I kind of had it in my mind, but it's totally different than what it was in my mind. So, but my GoFundMe is still active. My Cash App is active, and any little thing helps. But like I said, if you can't support me financially, pray for me.
Well, what's your Cash App?
My Cash App is $Marcus, capital R, Harper, Harper.
All right, control room, y'all take that down. Henry, go to my iPad. This here is the GoFundMe. This is the correct one, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, stay with Marcus Harper against injustice. Folks, the goal to raise was $200,000. It's just $3,425 there. So all of y'all who are watching and listening, please support. You'll see here under the description all of the details of this case. And the reality is what you described is what a whole lot of righteous brothers who work for police departments have had to contend with in their careers. And so we're glad that they quickly found you not guilty. And
15 minutes, man. It was 15 minutes.
15 minutes. We appreciate it.
Minutes.
We appreciate it, brother. Thanks a lot. So next time,
thank you.
Next time in Tulsa, you better have some ribs ready and some links.
I got you. You're not ready. You're not ready. Hey, thank you, Roland.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, you're welcome.
As I was sitting here thinking about, as Marcus was talking, Lauren, I thought about this brother here, Roland Robinson. Here we go to my iPad. He was a co-founder of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League in Chicago. He died last year at the age of 80. And he was constantly harassed in Chicago. In fact, what they did was to penalize him, they made his beat. He had to walk an alley. And they would literally sit across the street to see if he ever left his post. And that was the job, to guard an alley. They tried to break that brother. And we talk a lot about how we need good brothers and sisters joining police departments. But when you are a community activist and when you are outspoken, it's folk in these police departments, they don't want you there. They want to silence you. And that's what was happening in Tulsa.
Out there like that exist that we don't know anything about. At least with this one, we do have an opportunity to help Marcus, and we do have the technology to do it with regard to GoFundMe, because of course in years past you didn't really know how to connect, or maybe you didn't even know about the story at all, but it does underline the importance of Black media and finding out these stories and finding out what's going on. But hazing on the job, particularly with regard to law enforcement, of course, is nothing new. And it's a shame. And it's a shame he has no recourse. There should be some recourse someplace, either locally or DOJ. But it's funny when a local, district attorney or prosecutor locks in on somebody and decides to really effectively bankrupt somebody through legal fees, which is becoming a major part of strategy, not only in politics, but in a situation like this. I think we saw the same thing with Marilyn Mosby, where you could just bankrupt somebody just for falsely accusing them, and then they have to, of course, defend themselves. And then that's how you take that person out of power. That's how you take them out of the running for doing anything. And as you could see, you just asked him, well, what is he doing? He's sort of staying away from the situation because, of course, what he just had to endure.
Yep. Reese?
Yeah, I mean, the system is designed to be punitive to anybody that gets in the way of whatever the system is trying to do. That includes cops. We've covered that many times on this show. And so that you know, the thin blue line or whatever it's called, I don't know, the little flags they have with black and blue, whatever else, that shit don't count if you're not following the line. The thing that sucks the most is that it be your own people that set you up. You know, homegirl had a boyfriend that she had no business having, and then she roped him into it. He don't know what the hell's going on. And here he is 4 years later, you know, now being acquitted, but still the damage has been done. As Lauren points out, the system is very, very punishing, innocent or not. That's something that we should change about the way that we do things, because it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't lower crime, but it does serve the purpose of deterring people from getting in the way of what the system is trying to do.
Greg?
Absolutely. It's interesting. Marcus Harper's wife, Vanessa Hall Harper, is a councilwoman, as we know, in Tulsa. And in the wake of the decision, she said that her husband was going back to work. And she also referred to crooked-ass cops in Tulsa. There's been a bullseye, no doubt, on that couple's back for quite some time. One of the things that Officer Harper didn't mention is that he was at one time, the way I understand, president of the Black Officers Coalition there on the Tulsa Police Department. He chose a bench trial, so it was a judge, it wasn't a jury. I wonder if that was a legal strategy in order to avoid getting a jury in the box that might be sympathetic to the patty rollers and try to crucify him. But the judge did say this in today's ruling. He said that while there was no evidence, as we heard, he said that perhaps he didn't condone the behavior. Here we go with you you're extemporizing, Judge Clifford Smith. But he said, I don't condone his behavior, and there may be grounds for discipline or termination from the TPD, which is why he almost has to go back to work, because apparently they've opened an internal investigation at the Tulsa Police Department. And all these years, and now you have an active internal investigation. He has to go back to work so that if they're going to jam him up and fire him, perhaps he can file a civil suit and recoup some of this money. But indeed, this is, as we've just heard, this is long-term intensive warfare. I don't know what kind of police officer that Marcus Harper was. I hope you know that he wasn't the type of person that would be in league with the patty rollers. He doesn't seem to be.
No, not the case.
No, I wouldn't think so. But I mean, as I said, between him, his wife there in the city of Tulsa, which we know is one of the oases of racial justice in this country, they are engaged in long-term warfare. And hopefully he will go back. So if they're going to try to jam him up, he could take them back to court. And since he's been acquitted everywhere else, perhaps he can get some of this money back from the police department.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.